ECOWAS in the countries.
Tributes were paid to successive presidents of ECOWAS Commission who have bear the torch of regional integration for the last 50 years. In spite of the current challenges in reduction of number of member states from 15 to 12, the resolve is to forge ahead in unity because standing together guarantees a better future for the citizens. From Lagos, Kelvin Lewonwaye, NTA News.
And still on the 50th anniversary of the ECOWAS, we told you earlier that President Bola Tinubu is charging leaders in the region to match policies with action. Well, let's hear from our State House correspondent, Musbahu Danwahab, for that report.
History has been rewritten in Lagos. It all started here on 28th of May 1975 at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. Despite the differences in their tongues, colors, and colonial backgrounds, the futuristic West African leaders forged a common front with hope for a formidable bloc. 50 years down the lane, ECOWAS has endured through time as it promotes regional integration, trade, peace and security, among others. Along the line, the fabric of the bond has been tested by current dynamics with some dissenting voices from the Sahel parts of the sub-region. But then, amidst the realities, the body has decided to reinforce the building blocks and commitments of a regional bloc. They believe that they are stronger when they are together for a brighter future.
Hereby declare, recommit to the enhancement of the livelihood and well-being of our citizens by promoting peace and security, consolidating democratic governance and rule of law, strengthening economic integration, expanding trade and investments, improving interconnectivity, enhancing unity and solidarity, as well as achieving resilient, inclusive, and sustainable development in our region.
The sitting chairman of ECOWAS, Bola Tinubu, and other current leaders were here making history again as they hold up the vision of their founding fathers. It was a reenactment of what these 15 founding fathers did 5 decades ago, and certainly a nostalgia for the only surviving one out of them, General Yakubu Gowon of Nigeria. After the declaration of commitments, they moved on for other commemorative activities. Here, it was thank you to those President Tinubu described as the wise men for their vision that facilitated the regional integration. The chairman highlighted the activities that have characterized ECOWAS' journey, the achievements and challenges, and now, more important to him, is how to engender a greater future for the body and its peoples.
Our greatest task now is implementation. We are lagging behind on implementation. And I urge all member states to match policy with action. Let us, our citizens, feel the real impact of our shared efforts. Our young people.
And for Nigeria, it is a promise of continued support to the existence of ECOWAS and prosperity of the citizens. In Lagos, Musbah and Wahab, NTA News.
In a related development, Minister of Foreign Affairs Yusuf Tugar has reaffirmed that Nigeria remains committed to the ideals of integration, solidarity, and shared progress for West Africa to forge ahead. The Foreign Affairs Minister gave this assurance at the 50th anniversary of ECOWAS in Lagos. Correspondent Garba Nata'Allah reports that the minister stated this when he called for a renewed vigor in multilateralism, saying in an era of increasingly global uncertainties, institutions such as ECOWAS must remain relevant.
There's another round of economic boom in the Atlantic in the offing. This time around, we will not miss on riding its wave. This time around, we will be organized under ECOWAS.
As recorded over the years, Yusuf Tugar highlighted that the regional bloc is looking forward to fairer, well-driven, homegrown solutions.
This anniversary is so important because it reminds us of the vacuum that only common action and common purpose and common values can fill.
The theme, he says, Stronger Together for a Brighter Future, looks beyond immediate crisis towards long-term aspirations. And turning to other issues, South Africa, we hear, has offered to buy liquefied natural gas from the United States in a trade deal proposal that would see the African nation exempted from paying duties on vehicle exports to the United States in return. Francis Udojo reports that the proposal was announced to the media in a statement from the presidency.
The statement says South Africa will import 75 to 100 petajoules per annum for 10 years of LNG gas from the U.S., which will unlock approximately $900 million to U.S. $1.2 billion in trade per annum and U.S. $9 billion to U.S. $12 billion for 10 years based on applicable price. While the U.S. has so far not pronounced a decision on accepting or rejecting the deal, it could be a means for Pretoria to protect its struggling economy and to some extent mend relations with Washington, which are at their worst point in years. The automotive industry and vehicle exports are particularly important sectors in South Africa's economy, representing approximately 5% of its gross domestic product. U.S. President Donald Trump previously threatened South Africa with 30% tariffs on its exports to the U.S. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
Pope Leo XIV has once again called for ceasefires, the release of all hostages and full respect for humanitarian law in Ukraine and Gaza, demanding an end to violence and a path towards peace. Francis Udojo again reports.
Leo XIV opened his greetings to Italian pilgrims on Wednesday with an appeal for peace in Ukraine, saying his thoughts often turns to the Ukrainian people affected by new serious attacks against civilians and infrastructure. The Pope's appeal, which also seeks the liberation of hostages and renewed efforts to a project to protect children, came just one day after almost 50 people were injured trying to receive food aid at distribution sites in Gaza. From the Gaza Strip, the Pope said, "We hear, rising evermore, insistently to the heavens, the cries of mothers and fathers who clutch the lifeless bodies of their children and who are continually forced to move about in search of a little food and water as well as safer shelter from bombardments."
Che stringono a sé I corpi senza vita dei bambini.
2 weeks ago, the Israeli military launched a major new offensive in the area that has been at war since attacks in Israel by Palestinian militant groups in October 2023. Meanwhile, the United Nations envoy for the Middle East has told the Security Council that Palestinians living in Gaza deserve more than survival as Israel's war there enters its 600th day. An official, Sigrid Kaag, says, and I quote, "Death is their companion. It is not life. It is not hope. The people of Gaza deserve more than survival. They deserve a future." End of quote.
Civilians in Gaza have lost hope, Mr. President. Instead of saying goodbye, see you tomorrow, Palestinians now say, see you in heaven.
Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The federal government in Nigeria, in partnership with Germany, is offering technical and financial support to women farmers. The initiative aims to mitigate the effect of climate change while empowering women in agriculture. Musa Baba Ali reports that ministers of agriculture, women affairs and humanitarian affairs have successfully adopted the climate mitigation plan. underscoring the commitment to enhancing agricultural resilience and promoting sustainable practices among women farmers.
Women are recognized as a major contributors and key players in the agricultural value chain. They play a pivotal role in land clearing, planting, harvesting, marketing, and processing. However, climate change poses a significant threat to their farming activities, particularly due to declining yields caused by soil infertility and financial challenges. The situation is set to change as the federal government, through the National Agricultural Development Fund, is introducing climate-smart and gender-inclusive financing in agriculture.
We are moving beyond traditional credit systems to a future where financing means access. Access to mechanization, access to extension services, to digital tools.
On behalf of the German Corporation, I would like to encourage all of the stakeholders not only to validate the outcomes, but also to co-own them, to implement the activities and recommendations. They are a blueprint for operationalizing gender-sensitive and climate-smart financing in Nigeria.
During a validation workshop in Abuja, members of the Federal Executive Council pledged to implement this initiative within their respective ministries.
Our ministry is committed to advancing policies and programs that promote women economic empowerment. Gender-inclusive financing is a cornerstone of this commitment.
As a ministry, we are translating policy into practical and practice to durable food security for internet displaced communities.
The program is designed to empower women and other vulnerable groups, improving their social and economic well-being. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
All right, let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned.
Pleased to announce encouraging news from the National Bureau of Statistics, which released the Consumer Price Index, the CPI, for April 2025 only yesterday. According to the report, the headline inflation rate for April stood at 23.71%, This represents a decrease of 0.52% from the 24.23% recorded in March 2025. Similarly, month-on-month inflation dropped by a notable 2.04% from 3.90% in March to 1.86% in April. This, of course, did not just happen by chance. The President is focused and is determined, and his determination and his interventions are clearly paying off. The benefits of reform, though gradual, are real and measurable.
Thank you for staying with us. Mechanization services should be tools for income generation, improving livelihoods, and enhancing national productivity. Now, the goal is to reach 1 million women by 2030, directly impacting food systems, household incomes, climate resilience, and overall national development. This forms the basis for the Women in Mechanized Agriculture Stakeholders Engagement, which aims to empower women, drive mechanization, and transform agriculture. Hamman Jabani reports.
Agriculture remains the backbone of Nigeria's economy, contributing over 20% to the GDP and employing millions women who make up majority of smaller-holder farmers continue to face systematic barriers in accessing the tools, technologies, and opportunities that define modern mechanized farming. This stakeholders gathering in the agricultural sector is a call to action to dismantle these barriers and to celebrate the resilience of women who continue to till the land by hand but dream of harnessing machinery, accessing finance, and benefiting from supportive policies that can scale up their impact. Women in mechanized agriculture and other stakeholders emphasize the importance of equipping women with the skills and technical capacity to operate tractors and other agricultural machinery.
We want to work and partner with banks so that women can walk into the bank and have a product that targets them to be able to buy a tractor, and for them to use that tractor to either service their own farms or service other people's farms at a fee.
What we do is we set up hubs where women can go and access these implements. And we're not talking about just tractors, we're talking about threshers, harvesters, and we tailor-make the equipment to suit whatever farming implements they need. And of course, we want to deploy technology to assist these women.
Traditional rulers will definitely key into that aspect and give support in such a way that food will be available at homes.
Experts say that collaboration on actionable solutions from policy reforms to the adaptation of new technologies is essential. Commitment and pledges made during this initiative could be the game changer for the sector. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
President Bola Tinubu has appointed additional persons to fill vacancies in the governing councils of some federal universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. The new appointees and their institutions are African Aviation and Aerospace University, Abuja, Chidi Nwogu, member Imo State, University of Jos Plateau State, Dr. Folashade Mulikat Karim, member Kwara State. Others are Federal University of Technology, Ikot Abasi, Akwa Ibom State, Dikpe Olusina Adeni, member Lagos State, and Federal University of Technology, Babura, Jigawa State, Akinimo Umo, member Akwa Ibom State. All right, let's take a very short break. We're back. Welcome back, but be sure not to miss those documentaries. Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, is partnering with the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, to ensure easy validation of data of workers who are registered under the Employees Compensation Scheme. Managing Director of NSITF, Oluwaseun Faleye, spoke on the importance of the initiative when he led a delegation of NSITF management on a courtesy call to the Director General of NIMC, Abisoye Koka Odutsote. He said, with the collaboration, nobody can be registered to the scheme except they are registered and captured on the NIN. Faleye gave more insight on the Employees Compensation Scheme, which is designed to provide compensation for employees who have suffered injuries, death, or disabilities as a result of work-related issues. Director General of NIMC acknowledged the importance of the scheme and directed the IT unit to collaborate with that of the NSITF for the integration. Evidence in chief by the third prosecution witness in the alleged terrorism acts preferred against the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, was halted this Wednesday following an order for trial within trial given by the court. Judiciary correspondent Austin Ayembe reports that the order followed an issue raised by the defense that the statements by the defendant tendered by the prosecution were allegedly written under duress.
At the commencement of proceeding, the prosecution counsel Adegboyega Awomulu, senior advocate of Nigeria, presented his third witness who was to give evidence in the charge of terrorism acts preferred against the leader of IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu. Led in evidence, the witness said he interviewed the defendant on allegations of terrorism in 2015, where he admitted being a member of IPOB and specifically heading the radio arm of the organization. The prosecution proceeded to tender the video disc statements after the interview by the defendant to the court, though not objected to. The defense said the statements were written under duress. Following this, the trial judge, Justice James Omotosho, ordered for trial within trial to identify the specific elements of involuntariness. He then ordered parties to address him on that. The prosecution proceeded to adopt the same witness in a trial within trial and relied on a video and statements of the interview, maintaining that he was given a conducive environment for the interview and cannot say that his statements were written under duress. He tendered the video disc and statements in evidence and urged the court to play the disc containing the interview, which was granted. In the interview, the defendant admitted being a member of the proscribed IPOB and heading the radio arm. He said that the agitation for Biafra is born out of alleged failure of successive governments in Nigeria to provide good governance, resulting to unemployment and poverty. He said that the agitation is in line with the United Nations rule for self-determination. He also admitted the establishment of the Eastern Security Network, saying it is salvational and a voluntary armed outfit to protect their people, as self-defense is allowed under the Constitution of Nigeria. He said IPOB is worldwide with its treasury in Germany, as he does not control the money. He complained in the interview that he was being interviewed in the absence of his lawyers. The defense called the defendant as a witness in a trial within trial, where he echoed his alleged ordeals in the hands of DSS personnel and denial to have access to his lawyers. The prosecution counsel, led by Adegboyega Ahomolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, during cross-examination, sought clarification on comments he made against the government in the interview, and he said his campaign was for a change for better living standards of the citizens, not for the Igbos alone. Having listened to the argument in the trial within trial, the trial judge, Justice James Omotosho, adjourned the matter to 29th of this month for adoption of addresses and continuation of hearing. From the Federal High Court, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
And on that note, we end the news. Thank you for your time. I'm Ruth Aguwele. My sign language interpreter is Shagun Ajayi. Bye.